Well, hello friends, Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. Let's get open for business, and let's wake up the football gods on this Saturday night. Now, one thing about being a Dallas Cowboy fan, we have the biggest fan base in America as well in the world. We got my buddy Mark Sampson who's over in England. We got Katie that's also over there. We got Sven that's in Germany. We've got sailors and Army soldiers that are all over the world and stuff that are watching the Joe Boo Sports Report. Still freaks me out because, I'm old and technology and stuff, it used to be long distance when it was 30 miles away. But the Dallas Cowboys are really worldwide, and that's why I'm bringing you guys James Arthur. James, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks a lot for having me.
James is in Australia. Now, it is about 10 o'clock here, and I actually got an education because we were actually supposed to do this a few days ago, and he said, yeah, we'll do this Friday. And it was Thursday, and he kind of sent me a message and said, it's Friday. I said, no, it's Thursday. So we're actually going to the future here because it's Sunday there, right?
Absolutely. It's about midday Sunday.
Well, what I found out is you actually are a Dallas Cowboy fan, and tell me how you became a Dallas Cowboy fan.
Look, it started for me, it would have been about 2003, so I'm 30 years old now, so yeah, between about 13 or 14 years old, and I was watching what our pay TV channels in Australia was called Foxtel, and I was watching that, and they had this Eurosports channel that always had soccer on it, and then for some reason there was an American football game on it, and it was Notre Dame versus someone, I can't remember who, and I think the Eurosport channel thought that Notre Dame were in Europe, so they're playing this football game, and I was watching it, and I just fell in love with it. I thought this is the greatest thing I've ever seen, and there was a player playing for them named Julius Jones. He was a running back, and I thought to myself, and he ran for about 250 yards in this game and a few touchdowns, dominated, and I thought, this guy is the best thing I've ever seen. I can't believe this. So basically what I said to myself, I started looking into it, and I saw the draft was coming up. So I watched and saw, and he got drafted to the Dallas Cowboys, and I decided, you know what, Dallas Cowboys are my team in the NFL, I'm going to follow them now, thanks to Julius Jones. So it's a bit of a strange story, as he went to have a pretty good career, but not the most amazing career, but that was how I became a Cowboys fan, was because of Julius Jones, and just happened to catch him on a game.
Wow, that's cool. Well, so you also do podcasting in Australia, correct?
Yeah, so I've played football, American football in Australia, full pads, full gear for about 12 years now. And a few years ago, I've been a massive NFL fan. I decided to, I got asked by a radio station in Australia to come on as an NFL kind of analyst and expert and do a podcast for them. I did that for a couple of years and then decided, why am I doing this for someone else? And created my own studio called The Vault Studio. Built a studio under my house. I'm a carpenter by trade, so I built and set up my own studio, and have been doing that this will be our third season coming up now.
Wow, you're like a brother from another mother, because I too am a carpenter, and I have set up my studio in my basement. In fact, I've built all my set here. That's kind of amazing. So do you just deal with football, or do you deal with other sports as well?
No, we just do NFL. That's my primary. We do a fantasy football podcast as well, which we've got a couple of guys that do that. We also do a podcast about the local gridiron leagues in Australia called Going Local, so we do that too. But the main one it started was the NFL podcast. It's now turned into a live video and on Facebook and all that sort of stuff. So we do that once a week, fantasy football once a week, and then we do a Going Local once a month. So we do a few.
Well, that's really, really cool. So is football American football, I should say, because sometimes I say football and people are like, you're not talking about football, you're talking about something else. But is it very popular in Australia?
Look, it's getting there. I think, as I said, I started playing 12 years ago, and I think there was 4 teams in our league in our state. There's now 14 teams in our league. So over the past decade, as it's become more accessible to watch, obviously NFL Game Pass, all our pay TV channels now have Red Zone on it on a Monday morning. It's early Monday morning for us, starts about 4 in the morning, so a lot of people started getting more and more into it because of that. So the popularity is definitely growing. Super Bowl is now a massive day in Australia. We, the studio, host a Super Bowl party. A lot of pubs and bars all open up at 9 o'clock on a Monday morning for the Super Bowl, and they pack them out and everyone gets into it. So it's certainly growing. It's definitely not the biggest sport, but every year, along with the NBA as well, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And as Australians get more success in the NFL. You know, Mitch Wisnowski was a big one this year that went over and got drafted to the 49ers as a punter. As more guys get to that league, it becomes more and more popular. I actually used to play against Adam Gotsis, who now plays for the Denver Broncos. So he used to kick my ass when he was about 17 years old.
Okay, so what position do you play?
I'm an offensive lineman. Primarily play center and guard. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so let me ask you now. So is this a junior league? I mean, this is what exactly is the league as far as like a semi-pro team, club sport?
We're considered an amateur league. You know, I would probably say our standards about, you know, a Division III college, that sort of thing, maybe a lower level JUCO, not one of those high levels. The big thing that's changed the last few years for our leagues is we bring over imports now. So a couple of years ago we had a couple of guys out that played at Tennessee. We had a guy out that played at Utah. So all the teams kind of bring guys out. So the standard's definitely growing as people become more aware of the sport, and again, coaching is becoming more accessible information. The big thing is getting better coaching and developing that. You know, my big thing as an offensive lineman, I'm also an offensive line coach for my club, so I just do everything I can to learn more and more about offensive line play and how it works and how it develops, and then how to teach it. That's the hardest. That's the biggest obstacle we have in Australia. But as we bring guys out from the States to coach and play, our club's got an American coach coming out this year that played at Butler University, so he's coming out to head coach. So we just kind of absorb from these guys the information and then learn it and then reuse it to teach and develop the league and grow the league, really.
Well, what's your favorite thing about football?
For me, definitely the strategy. You know, Aussie sports are really driven around, you know, if you're the longest guy, whereas in American football, the difference in size of people is incredible. Like, you know, I'm about 6'3", 130 kilos, and I play, and there are guys that are half my size that are quite good and play as well. So the fact that every single player is required on every play for it to be successful, that's what I appreciate about the game and respect about the game. You can't have one guy fail, otherwise the whole team fails. So that's great. And I also love the aggression of it. There's nothing better than just, you know, getting in that stance and coming off the ball and, you know, getting a real good drive on a guy and finishing him. It's just one of the best feelings in the world to physically dominate someone. So that's something I definitely enjoy on the football field.
Yeah, it's definitely that whole thing of when you can just literally just do that pancake block on somebody that is just like that perfect hit. It's just nothing like it. You can't describe it to somebody who's never really played football, and it's a crazy mentality that you really get, and you do have to be a little bit off to play football. So, our Dallas Cowboys, let me get your perspective on, you know, we listen to, I don't know how much of the talking heads that you get from ESPN and things like that. Basically, most of them have us ranked from about 15th to 19th. You know, they look at it and say, we haven't done much really in the offseason. There's the darling teams right now of Kansas City, the Eagles, and, of course, now the Cleveland Doo-Doo Browns. How do you feel about the Dallas Cowboys going into this season?
Well, I think for the first time in a long time for me, I come in feeling quite comfortable with where they're at, and it's, you know, it's a bit of a dangerous feeling because that's when you tend to get let down. But, you know, I like to consider myself a pretty realistic fan. You look at the roster all around, I'm a huge fan of Ezekiel Elliott. I think he is one of the most rated running backs in the NFL. I can't believe he doesn't get the credit he deserves. And, you know, when he was stuck under Linehan, he was not used correctly. He can catch the ball a lot more and be used that way. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Kellen Moore can bring out. I think he's going to be young and a bit more innovative. Sorry, that's the wrong word. Innovative. And I'm a fan of Dak Prescott. I don't think he's the most accurate passer. I don't think he's the guy that's going to stand in the pocket and deliver, you know, balls downfield perfectly every single time. But he's a competitor and he's a winner. And that's something that you can throw all the stats in the world you want at me and constantly in all these groups and stuff, you know, guys saying, oh, he's crap, he doesn't deserve to be paid. The other guy that wins football games, he's going to get paid. It's the nature of the position, the nature of the sport. Now, whether he's worth $30 million or not, that's up to the Cowboys organization to work out. But what my argument always is with Prescott is, what's the alternative? Do you want to bring in Case Keenum? Do you want to let him walk in free agency and let the New York Jets or, the Giants or someone with a quarterback pay him the big money and play against him?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you have someone like Case Keenum or Joe Flacco or Alex Smith or, a guy who's at the end of his career who's basically a backup that's a starter? That's the alternative. So what you're paying for isn't necessarily just Dak Prescott. You are paying to not have to have these other quarterbacks, and that's what a lot of people have to understand. It's the nature of the business.
Well, that too, and people don't realize that the salary cap goes up every year, and quarterback compensation goes up every year as well. So, if they pay him $30 million, say, this year, well, 3 years from now, the going rate's going to be between 35 and 40, and then it's going to end up seeing a bargain. When Tony Romo got his deal, of course, it was the same thing. And unfortunately, with Dallas Cowboys, the expectation is to win the Super Bowl every year. Even though we haven't won it in 25 years, that's the expectation. And if you don't reach that level, then, of course, the fans are going to be bitching and moaning. I remember at the Eagles game, it drove me crazy, the Cowboys versus the Eagles. We had that fourth quarter shootout between Wentz and Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott has, 450 yards passing, 3 touchdown passes. We dominate in overtime and end up winning, and we've got people who are like, we need to get rid of Dak. And I'm kind of like, huh? We just had over 400 some yards. We won the game against the Super Bowl champions, and you want to get rid of the quarterback? So no matter what we do, some fans, it's just going to be, he's a bum. But it was always that way with Tony Romo. I remember, of course, with Danny White, because Danny White, of course, went to 3 NFC Championship games and got us there. And, of course, he was a bum. And even with Roger Staubach later in his career, people were like, it's time to move on, get rid of him. So Cowboy fans are kind of a different breed all the way around. I hate to say it.
Yeah, like just you mentioning that game, it was funny. All the praise went for Carson Wentz, in that game, not Watson. What was cool, and arguably one of the biggest pressure games of the season, because if he'd lost that game, we were not going to win the division. The Eagles were going to storm and take it from us. So the fact that in biggest pressure in a situation where I love Tony Romo, but he struggled in those big moments. A guy to come in and win, and then still to cop it after playing that well, I couldn't get over it, and I have a real issue with those sorts of fans that just. They're not necessarily haters. They just can't understand what they're watching and just enjoy the moment. Yeah. That game was incredible, and all everyone said, the last ball should have been picked off. And I was like, well, it wasn't. It wasn't. Got tipped in the air, and Amari Cooper caught it and scored. It wasn't tipped off. So you can go back over the years. You can take 4 Patriots Super Bowls away by saying this should have happened. It's not the nature of the game. Things go wrong.
Just think about Seattle. Had they run the ball in as opposed to passing, boom, they wouldn't have won that one. But, football's a game of inches, and unfortunately, people don't remember how close it is. They just go by who won the Super Bowl. So one last thing. So what is life like in Australia? Is it like what we see in the movies? Are we seeing kangaroos and crocodiles everywhere? Where it's literally the jungle?
Look, there are crocodiles and kangaroos. I live in an area in Melbourne where I do have kangaroos around, but they're not tame. You don't ride them. They're not pets. Crocodiles are certainly not pets. They're more up north of Australia. They are one of the most dangerous creatures in the world, so no one goes near them. But they're actually a protected species, so you're not even allowed to hurt them either. So, look, Australia, I've been to America a few times, and Australia is very similar in a lot of ways. We're a bit different, and as for football, we just love it just as much. We just have to get up earlier on a Monday morning to watch it, not on a Sunday.
Well, actually, that's not quite as bad. Because, see, England is kind of like in the middle of the night. At least it's in the morning. So, to wake up and be able to watch football, that's not so bad. So tell everybody I'm sorry, go on.
Once all the daylight savings kick in, the first morning games, the 1 p.m. kickoffs in America start at about 8 a.m. in the morning on a Monday. So you kind of get the whole day of football. So it's actually quite good.
Okay, all right. Well, so tell everybody where they can find you. And we're definitely going to have you on here more as we get towards the season and things.
Oh, I would love that. Yeah, look, we're called The Vault Studio. You can find us on all social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just search, or you can go to our website, www.thevaultstudio.com.au, and you can get all our podcast links and social media links from there. Thanks a lot for having me on. I appreciate it.
No problem. And I'll put the link in the description here, too, so that way you guys can definitely subscribe to him. Check him out. You get used to the accent and everything else, and get a little culture, too. So, James, thank you very much for joining in. Best of luck. When does your season start?
It doesn't start. We've just started preseason, so we're about 10 weeks off starting, 2.5 months off starting.
Okay, all right. So you know what? We might need to get some game film for you because we're starving right now for football.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Sounds
the
good.
AAF just folded, so there you go. We can get our football fix from down under. I'm Mark Holmes with my man James Arthur, and I'll see you guys soon.